And finally, what I'd love to get to is how we can unify these different voices. The power is in being united around a vision, around a common mission. So I'd love for the youth track participants at the end of the day to come out with the unified message of what it means to look to the future where decisions that are being taken by citizens, by the governments, by the various businesses are informed by the information about the Earth. The members of GEO, the founding fathers of GEO, they've been collecting data about the Earth for 70 years. They've been making this data available as a public good for as long the time. But what we've seen in the last 10 or so years is the emergence of also a very robust private sector that is leveraging this public good and creating value-added information tools and services to serve local communities, to serve national stakeholders, enabling them to make informed and timely decisions. Ultimately, what we are about is to facilitate timely, informed decisions. Why do we believe it is important that we find a way of integrating the young voices into the GEO processes? Is because we think we cannot continue at the same pace we have been operating. We believe that we need to be faster in how we connect across borders. We need to be faster in how we share our information, knowledge, and learnings from our various experiences. And let's face it, who knows how to do things quickly through technologies, using whatever means of communication to even bypass the barriers of language? It is the young people. So we are really looking to leverage the young communities with their drive and aspiration and ambition and turn that into a momentum for the larger GEO to move in the direction that will ensure that we're delivering that timely information for all decision makers quickly and at scale. You will go through your agenda. You will hear from a number of speakers from various regions. I'm so delighted about the areas of the world that our speakers are going to represent and the experiences that they're going to share. There is so much to be gained from this information and knowledge exchange. But I very much hope that as you go through each session, through each conversation, you actively think about what would you like to see this multilateral group on Earth observation to evolve into. You are here for a good reason. You are here to inject your aspirations, your expectations into the conversations that we are going to have over the next 2-3 days in the GeoPlenary. In the GeoPlenary, we will not be just looking at the achievements of our work today, but envisioning the future GEO. And we say that the future belongs to the young people. You are the protagonists of change. So we need to envision that future together. But that means we count on you to tell us, what do you expect from an intergovernmental group on Earth observations to be like, so that there is real space for you to participate on par. You will have a lot of side conversations in the hallways, inside meetings room, and those are very precious and valuable. But would love for you to then be heard loudly in the main conversations, in the main discussions. On the last day of the plenary, you will have one of your ambassadors, Mary, I think that is going to be your task, to address the GeoPlenary and present the reflections from the youth track, the outcomes of the youth track, and present your reflections on that post-2025 GEO. And I really, really hope that you take that opportunity to turn that into a real call to action from the young people to the GEO members who will be in the audience to listen to you. Think about everything. What is on your wish list? Is it more access to being able to participate in these various conferences? What value do you gain from being here in the mix of some of the best science experts from the international community? Is it access to opportunities to get more training? Is it opportunities for internships and apprenticeships? Is it opportunities to mentorship? I don't want to put words in your mouth or thoughts into your head. I'm sure you know exactly what it is you want. But don't think that any details is too small a detail. Do create that really compelling and exciting story that will be heard in the plenary, that will come from the voices of the youth. A unified expectation, vision for the kind of future that you expect us to build together jointly with you. So I'm going to end here, allow you to proceed. Thank you so much for those of you who've taken the trip to Accra. And for those of you who are joining online as well, I really hope you take advantage of this technology, even if there are to be hiccups along the way, although so far things have been working, knock on wood. And please, have an open conversation. Share your best experiences. Share some of your not so great experiences so we know what actually doesn't work very well. And then please do bring your voices to the GEO plenary on Thursday, November 3rd, where we'll be waiting to hear from you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Ms. Yana, and I think your remarks are spot on. It's really the time for us, the young people, for the youth to shape the future we want to see, to shape the GEO we would like to see. And I think this platform, first of all, provides us an opportunity as young people to share lessons, to learn from one another, but also to brainstorm on some of the ideas that we would like GEO to take forward as youth. And we can promise you by the end of the 2-3 days, you will have a wish list of some of the aspects or ideas that we think that GEO moving forward should take into consideration. Not forgetting that we, I think, the majority, not only in Africa. For example, in Uganda, where I come from, I think our population is kind of 65% youth, yeah? So I think the youth, we really have so many ideas. We would like to engage more in the GEO work. We would like not only to just participate, but to be included, to be part of the process, to be part of the projects. We have quite a number of challenges, but we are optimistic that this is the beginning of having our voices heard as far as GEO is concerned, and we are willing to collaborate, we are willing to cooperate, and to work with GEO. So thank you very much. Colleagues, I would like to take this opportunity to invite our keynote speaker, Ms. Monica Camerana, to give us the keynote presentation. And I would like to also quickly introduce her to you. Ms. Monica is a PhD candidate at the Delft University of Technology in the Netherlands, where she's actually studying West African rainfall using deep learning and Earth observation. And she's doing this to contribute towards food security in this region. And her PhD is part of a larger European Commission's project that aims at transforming weather data into information services for sustainable growth in Africa. Ms. Monica has a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering, and she also has a Master of Philosophy in Space Studies from University of Cape Town, and she has a master's degree in space navigation from the University of Cranfield in the UK. She led a project called Schools and Satellites that combined citizen science, deep planning, and Earth observation to improve rainfall information in the northern parts of Ghana. So we couldn't find any better candidate, I think, to give us a keynote in Ghana than Monica. So Monica, you're welcome to give your keynote presentation, and we are glad to have you.
Thank you very much, Mary, first of all. Hi, everybody. I'm Monica Estebanez Camarena. I'm a PhD candidate of TU Delft in the Netherlands, where, as Mary said, I study West African rainfall, particularly in the north of Ghana. And today I'm here to tell you about my experience as a young woman in Earth observation, and also about some challenges and opportunities that we women have in the sector. If I can have the presentation, please. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so first of all, who am I and why am I here? How did I get here? So I am from Spain. My passion since I was little was always space. I wanted to make a space telescope like the James Webb or the Hubble. That's why I studied aerospace engineering when I was in Madrid. But then, just before I finished my bachelor's, I did an internship in remote sensing, and my interest switched from looking up to looking down, and I fell in love with Earth observation. So I moved to South Africa, where I did a master's in space studies that was very much focused on using space for good on Earth. I worked in interesting projects such as wildfire monitoring or monitoring of oil spills in Nigeria. And then, because I was missing space, at the end it had been my dream always to work in space, I moved to the UK to do a master's in space navigation, only to realize that no, my new passion was Earth observation. So I went back to it, and I moved to the Netherlands, where I am doing my PhD. I'm currently in my last year of PhD. I have been using Earth observation to study West African rainfall, and yeah, I will tell you more about it in the next slide, please. So the problem that I'm trying to tackle is, my PhD is based in the north of Ghana. It's focused in the north of Ghana, where over 80% of the population relies on, 80% of agriculture is rain-fed, and the society and economy rely heavily on agriculture. So climate change is changing rainfall patterns, and traditional knowledge that farmers used to employ for knowing when to plant is no longer reliable. At the same time, there is no accurate rainfall information because current satellite products don't perform very well in this region, and also there is a scarce rain gauge distribution on the ground. So all of this contributes towards food and economic insecurity, and that is what I am trying to tackle with my PhD. I took this picture in Ghana a few years ago. This woman was showing me her tomato field. She had planted when she would have generally planted, but then there was an unexpected drought, and she has basically lost everything here. So yeah, all the tomato field is dry, as you can see. So that is why I am studying West African rainfall so I can give farmers better information. I am combining Earth observation, deep learning, and citizen science to do this, and I am doing my PhD at TU Delft in the Netherlands. I'm a member of the global initiative of TU Delft That is an initiative in different faculties working in projects trying to make an impact in the Global South and projects that are really applied. So in my case, for example, I have been working a lot in Ghana. And there are other kinds of projects. And also, my PhD is part of the larger TWIGA project that is funded by the European Commission in the Horizon 2020 program. And TWIGA aims to transform weather data into information services in Africa. So most of my PhD time, I have been leading a project called Schools and Satellites that finished last December. Schools and Satellites combined machine learning, Earth observation, and citizen science to make a better rainfall product for West Africa, for the north of Ghana particularly. So as we know, there are many satellites taking continuously data from the Earth, and over 100 terabytes or so are produced daily. Machine learning is a great tool to use all of this information, but the problem is that in many cases there isn't enough data from the ground. So that is why I decided to use citizen science to gather data from the ground so I could train my model. This project was funded by the European Space Agency as one of the citizen science Earth observation lab pilot projects, and it was a collaboration between TU Delft, Pulse Aqua, Tamo Ghana, Smartphones for Water, and the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Next slide, please. Yes. So, as I said, I use citizen science to train my deep learning model, and today I'm going to focus on the citizen science part. So, since 2019, for 2.5 years, we created a citizen observatory in the north of Ghana that was formed by some farmers, but mostly teachers. What the teachers had in it is that we offered an optional educational module on climate change and the water cycle. And this experiment of measuring rainfall was part of it. So the rain gauge was very simple, just one plastic bottle with a ruler, some glue, and cement, that's all. And then the citizen scientists would take daily measurements by taking a photo of the gates and also sending the measurement via an app. Unfortunately, most of it happened during COVID at the end.
Recording in progress.
Unfortunately, most of it happened during COVID. So during COVID, of course, international travel was not possible. Schools were closed. Gatherings in Ghana were also not allowed. So thankfully, we counted with local partners, sitting in the audience, actually, that was able to continue the project, and our project could survive. At the end, next slide, please. At the end, we created a citizen observatory of 51 citizen scientists that collected rainfall data for 2.5 years with some gaps. And the data is available online if anyone wants to have a look. Yes. So now I have a video of the experience of some of these citizen scientists. I strongly believe that citizen science is a great tool that we can use to gather data from the Earth and be able to better study Earth. And this is the experience that some citizen scientists had. Next slide, please.
Within the 3 years has been crucial to me because this exercise has enabled me to take my students, other teachers, and people that are around to measure rainfall, know the months that we encounter higher rainfall and the months that we do encounter lower rainfall for the past 2 years. And I think subsequently this program should be in progress because we have actually inherited a whole lot of benefits from it.
School and satellites program has been very, very, very important. I think I've learned a lot about climate change. I've involved my students, and with their experience, they said it is really nice, and they've seen the rain pattern, and they are happy, and most of them even wish they could have it in their own environment so that they can always feel it.
School and satellite program is a very important
program that has come to explain a lot of things to our children. Because children, most of the times, they don't know what a rain gauge is. We teach in abstract. And this thing is in our social studies and integrated science topics. So seeing the rain gauge is very, very important. And we have taken them through how to read and record the figures, the measurement on the rain gauge. So this program is very, very important. And I think I will continue with it with the few experience I've gotten to educate the children.
My experience with schools and satellites project has been enormous. I think it gave me the opportunity to collect data with my students, and we were able to monitor the rainfall pattern in the area, and because of the practical feel of it, I got more aware of the rainfall pattern of the area. And going forward, the students are eager to have more opportunities to participate in the project so that they can become informed citizens of climate change.
Taking the rainfall measurement has been of help to us, more especially with the climatic change. My students are able to know when rainfall begins and when it ends, and they are able to inform their parents when to start doing serious farming, especially crops that require much rainfall. So I think with this program, it has helped a lot.
First and foremost, let me thank schools and satellites for the knowledge they've impacted in my life. I think that they've come to educate us on how to study rainfall pattern. And I think that the little knowledge that I've experienced from them, I'm able to impact that to the children I teach. And I think that that has helped them improve upon their performance. I want to assure you that even though the program is ending, the experience and the knowledge that we have acquired into good use in making sure that the exercise or the project continues to function in some levels.
Schools and satellite is a very good experience and a very good project that has helped my community and the school as a whole. It helped the children to know what a rain gauge is. Previously, we thought a rain gauge is an instrument that needs to be bought from a store or bought from somewhere else. But school and satellite taught us how to make our own rain gauge, which is very important for the community. And we wish this project after this can still continue, and maybe the government of Ghana can take it up as a very good project for schools, where we'll be able to study and know the rain pattern, which will inform us on how to farm or do our agriculture production.
Okay, so that was only a few of the 51 citizen scientists. As you have seen, there was only one woman. This woman was also the only woman that was, one of the two only women that joined the project at all. So what I saw in the field, because I also had many interviews with farmers, is that there are many women in farming, and indeed in Ghana, 70% of the agriculture workforce are women, so most of the farmers are women. So this is an application of our field, agriculture, and most of these people are women. On the other side, the citizen scientists that joined the project, so that was 51, there were only 2 women, and only one could attend the closing workshops that we held last year in December. Even this woman, when she came to the workshop, had a baby, and she came with her kid, a baby. So obviously during the workshop she could not be as present as her male counterparts because she had to take care of a baby, while also participating in activities that we were organizing. So this is a very clear example of one of the challenges of women in our field. And next slide, please. But this is only the case of Ghana. Globally, women are the majority of the world's poor, and also they are more vulnerable to climate change than men. At the same time, they are often excluded for decision-making about access to and use of land and resources. And because of this, because of the poorer access to information, some behavioral restrictions, and poor mobile and socioeconomic status, they are also more vulnerable to natural disasters because they have lower mobility. At the same time, however, women are an important actor of change. In many parts of the world, they hold big responsibilities in their households and in their communities as stewards of their natural resources. And also they hold knowledge and expertise that could contribute to mitigation and adaptation strategies to climate change. Furthermore, in low and middle income countries, from 45 to 80% of all food production relies on women. Next slide, please. So I think that we can agree that women can be very important in, or are essential in tackling the Sustainable Development Goals and tackling the world's issues. Worldwide, however, less than 30% of experts in STEM careers are women, which is the same for GIS and Earth observation. While Earth observation is essential to study our Earth and so tackle the issues that we currently have, such as climate change. So therefore, I believe that it should be inclusive and it has to count with everyone, of course, including women. Gender equality is a right, but if that is not enough, the diversity also is essential for innovation, so we should have more diversity in our fields. There are two Sustainable Development Goals that talk directly to women. One is the Sustainable Development Goal 4, quality of education, and the other one is gender equality, Sustainable Development Goal 5. However, none of these goals should be achieved leaving the women aside, and cannot be achieved leaving women aside, both in their application but also in how we are going to get there. Next slide, please. Okay, so some of the challenges of women in our field. Of course, underrepresentation and lack of role models to inspire us and look up to. There is lower recognition, so many times we have the same achievements as men or more sometimes. And still, our intellect, knowledge, experience, and leadership are downplayed. It is more difficult to get recognized doing the same job. Of course, this is a difficult topic, but also needs to be mentioned. Harassment in the workplace also happens, and it needs to be tackled. And there are other circumstances that can hinder the education and professional development opportunities of women. For example, family and community responsibilities, as I said, like this woman that came to one of the workshops with a baby, or many other girls in the world that cannot go to school because they have to take care of their families. And also societal norms and stigma. I wanted to do a raise of hands, but seeing not so many people in the room, probably that's a bit too exposed, but I'm sure that all women here have experienced some of this. Okay, next slide, please. So, okay, these are all the problems, but how are we going to tackle them? So there are some networks in place in GIS. All of these ones and more have also mentorship programs. One of them is the Women Plus in Geospatial, also Space for Women, so for more the Earth observation part. Women in GIS, including, of course, Women in GIS Uganda that are organizing this panel discussion, and Women in GIS Kenya, and also African Women in GIS. These are only some, but I believe there are more. There are also other resources besides these networks that we can have access to, such as the Women Plus Speakers database that the Women Plus in Geospatial have. Organizers of conferences, for example, to have more women in their conferences, you can look at this database. It's formed with the names of many women in our field that can speak at conferences. And also, if you are a woman in this field, you can register in this database and then be contacted. There is also something else called Soapbox Science, that is a platform for public outreach for women and non-binary people, and non-binary scientists. So this is more outreach in public spaces, such as parks, to kids. So also, again, a very good opportunity for young women and girls to see that we are also doing this. Next slide, please. So now my advice to women in the field: connect to others, use these networks that there are in place, make yourself known as much as possible, talk in conferences, participate in competitions, take advantage of all the opportunities as you can so you can make a name or make yourself seen. Speak up about this, about our issues in the field, not only within the field, but also in general, so everyone can be in the conversation. And lastly, be a role model for young women and girls. This photo is a photo of me when I was living in South Africa. I used to talk in high school sometimes, and that's an experience that I really appreciated. And last year, I was told that one of the girls in this photo has been admitted to physics because she wanted, after my talk, she wanted to do what I was doing. So be that role model. Next slide, please. And finally, about the post-2025 strategy of GEO, I believe that, again, the main change has to come from education. So yes, we can change many things in the workplace, but we need to start with the youth. Youth is the future, so let's focus on young women and girls, do targeted trainings, mentorship programs, workshops, outreach activities, again, for example, in schools, to really reach the youth. And then also let's have more female representation in places such as this one, and in private and public sector in general, and more visibility. I also think that the population should be involved end to end, so from problem definition to solution provision. Many times I believe we scientists work on applications without actually having even considered the society, and that I believe should change. And lastly, a way to tackle these things, I found in my project that citizen science was really powerful tool for data collection, but also for education and population involvement. Next. Yes, that's it. So thank you very much. That was my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Monica, for sharing your experiences with us, but also highlighting some of the challenges that women in GIS, in Earth observation are facing, and of course, how they can navigate them, because for sure, much as those challenges are there, but we have also seen very successful women making it to the top in this field of GIS and Earth observation, and I'm sure there are ways they have managed to navigate within this career, and very evident is our director, Ms. Yana. So I would like to straight go into our panel discussion, where we have a number of panelists who will be highlighting some of the challenges that they have faced in this field and how they have managed to navigate them. So on stage, we have Ms. Karen. Karen, I will give you a minute to introduce yourself briefly to the audience.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, everyone attending physically and online. I am Karen Asaba. I have a background in petroleum geoscience, and I'm also a certified drone pilot from the African Drone and Data Academy in Malawi. Currently, I am working in Nigeria as a drone pilot and a data analyst with a company called TOA Nigeria Limited. I am also a very active member of Women in GIS Uganda, And here I am as a representative of women in GIS Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. And Liliana, all the way from Colombia, I think she traveled for 3 days. In 1 minute, please tell us about yourself.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Liliana Castillo. I come from Colombia, and I work on agriculture, on earth observation applied to agriculture. So I come from a family of farmers, and since then, I've worked in the agricultural sector. I studied my PhD on earth observation applied to agriculture. And thank you for having me here, and also being able to learn from you and share with you amazing women. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liliana. And Ayesha, you are online. Can you also introduce yourself in a minute? And then we shall move into our panel discussion.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. I'm Aisha Sheldon. I'm joining you from Sweden. I am a geospatial and remote sensing analyst that's currently working at the United Nations Satellite Center, UNOSAT, which is based in Geneva in Switzerland. And apart from that, I am heavily involved in the Women in Geospatial online network. I've been a part of the network for quite a few years now, and I engage with a lot of young women and am a part of the mentorship program and other programs within the network. So it's great to be here, and so I'm looking forward to the discussions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ayesha, and I would like to start with you. You've just mentioned that you are part of the Women in Geospatial, which is a global professional network promoting diversity and gender equality in the geospatial industry and academia. And we also know that you were nominated as one of the 2021 Rising Stars in Geospatial. So we would like to hear from you, Ayesha. Can you highlight some of the benefits of such professional networks to young women in this field of GIS and Earth observation?
Yeah, thank you, and thanks so much for having me on this panel. It's great to be here and have the opportunity to be involved. I think these networks, such as Women in Geospatial and Women in GIS Uganda, can really help young women to grow their careers and both personally and professionally through many ways. Having the opportunity to network with like-minded women from around the world or the region can benefit women in creating professional connections, this either for mentorship purposes or job purposes or different types of things like that. It provides a network where women can get together and just talk about different issues or different things that they have been experiencing. This is a main thing, learning from other women within the program. I also think being a part of a network, you volunteer your time, so you get to take on that extra responsibility of being a volunteer. I've been a volunteer for about 2 years, so I think having this experience as well, being within a network and volunteering your time is something that you choose to do is a really great experience, both personally and professionally, and just to meet other like-minded women and learn from them. Also, there's a lot of opportunities to become aware of different events, speaking opportunities, job sharing, creating portfolios, and different research. So there's many things that these networks can help young women.
Thank you very much, Ayesha, and I will turn to you, Karen. Drone pilot all the way from Uganda to Nigeria. We came to learn that for a long time, you were the only woman in your team, the only drone pilot in a team of about 15 or so men. So we would like to hear from you. Being a woman, the only woman in such a big team of men, how did you manage to navigate that? What challenges did you face, and or have you faced, and how have you been able to navigate those challenges?
Thank you, Mary. Like you mentioned, challenges. Of course, yes, being the only woman, and of course I'm a bit small, so sometimes that can also come in as stature when people look at you, and it's a bit intimidating. And usually men may look at you and think, okay, this one is a lady, she doesn't even have the skills, for example. Or whatever you bring onto the table, or even any kind of opinion you might have, it may be undermined. I like what Monica said, that it's downplayed, that you actually have the skill, but it's being downplayed. It's not being given as much recognition, or whichever opinion that you have is not being given much opinion. I'm sure you've been in conversations where people are having a discussion, and every time someone tries to bring up a point, it's downplayed and maybe not brought up to the table. But of course, there is always a way of overcoming these challenges. For example, if you think your skill is being downplayed and you think there is an extra skill that you could acquire to make yourself better, because sometimes they might actually be right, that maybe you're not as competent as you should be, or not as competent as everyone who is on that team, but a way if you can get your skill amplified much better and you become more competent, I think that also gives you a better chance to express yourself with confidence. The more you get skillful, the more you are confident, and that way you become less intimidated and you're able to express yourself much easier, knowing that I actually have this skill, and what all the male counterparts are able to do, I'm also able to do it. And definitely we now have resources online, we have webinars, we have MOOCs that everyone can enroll in, so those are available for us to help us improve our skills and get experience and competence. And also, of course, usually, however much some male counterparts may not be as supportive, but there's usually those ones that are very supportive. So you can always talk to those ones that you find supportive. If you have an opinion, for example, and you tell them, for this discussion that we are having, this is what I think, and they can help you amplify that. And of course, with time, if they realize that you actually have good ideas, they will listen to you with time. But of course, we shouldn't also victimize ourselves, because sometimes when you're working in these environments with male counterparts, and every time your skill is being downplayed, you may become a victim, and that could push you back to your corner. So you have to also try to develop a thick skin so that you can be able to continue learning and expressing yourself as much as you can. Thank you, Mary.
Wow. So I think colleagues and fellow women in GIS here, you can pick some notes from Karen, how she has managed to deal with 15 male colleagues. That is really very insightful, Karen. And maybe I will turn to Liliana. Liliana, you did your PhD in Europe, and you decided that you have to go back to your home country in Colombia to work with the farmers, to help them. And we also learned that you founded the Amigro, yeah, which is a social enterprise working with small-scale farmers to leverage on the use of GIS and remote sensing in monitoring crop yields in Colombia. I find that fascinating, given the fact that this field is full of technical jargons, it's full of so many concepts. How did it even come to your mind to start working with farmers, small-scale farmers, and how have you found that from your experience?
Well, as I mentioned, I come from a family of farmers, so I'm used to, I understand what the farmers need and what they look for. So I focused working on agriculture. And in that sense, and Earth observation applied to agriculture. But I think what's made it easy for me to, or not easy, but has helped me out is the fact that I understand and I listen what the farmers do. And I think that's something very particular to women, this nature to listening and to care and to really try to understand what they mean. So I think being able to translate this technical jargon, it's been difficult, but you learn from the farmers. I wouldn't say it's helping them out. I think it's working together and learning from them to be able to create solutions together. So that's how I've managed it, and I think it's been enriching, really learning from them and working together because they are an active part of what we do in AMIGROW.
Yeah, thank you very much, Liliana. And maybe it goes directly to Monica's keynote. You really showed me a slide. You showed us a slide, which I keep wondering, why is it that we have very few women participating in such projects? You showed only teachers participated in this project. So from your experience, what do you think, where do you think are the opportunities of using citizen science in this field of Earth observation and GIS? And how can we leverage on citizen science? How can we encourage more women to participate in such initiatives?
Well, I think citizen science, as I said, is a very powerful tool for data collection, but also to involve society. And in a situation like we are right now with the climate crisis, I think that we have to involve all society, and citizen science is a great way to do that. At the same time, also for involving young women and girls, I think if we, like women mostly, participate in these kind of projects, and with the schools, for example, if we are working with the youth and they see us, just by seeing us, we are already encouraging more participation.
Okay, thank you very much. And I would like to turn to our online audience. Do we have any questions from the online audience? But I would also like to hear from colleagues participating here. I know there are quite a number of women in GIS, in Earth observation, and also men here. We would like to hear from you. What are your experiences working with us? Where do you think we can improve ourselves as women in Earth observation or in the GIS field? So if you have any thoughts, any questions, just raise up your hand. And I hope we have some volunteers to help us to move the mic. But for our online audience, do we have any question online? Angela, do we have any question online? No questions. Okay, very good. Can you help move the mic very, very fast?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, panel. Good morning, audience. My name is Owen. I'm from Nigeria, and this is my first time of attending Geo Week, so I'm learning quite a lot, and it was quite inspiring to listen to the work that Monica's been doing, and obviously all the other panelists are very inspiring to hear what you're doing. I'm actually staying in the same hotel as Karen, so she's told me a little bit about the work she does. Very inspiring. In the work I do, I work with young girls as well to inspire them to take up STEM subjects at secondary school and university level. So my question is, considering the great work that this, women are doing in this space of EO and GIS, my question is, what more can be done to inspire young girls, particularly at secondary school level, to know more about GIS and how they can participate more, and what kind of initiatives we can actually do at the grassroots levels or at, secondary school level to make women or girls aware of the issues and how they can be more involved.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Yana, would you like to attempt that question? What more can we do to inspire more women to join this field of geospatial? I mean, across the board. It can be either from primary, lower levels, it can be from secondary or university, but what more can we do? Maybe you could speak from your experience as the director of GEO.
Thank you for the question. I'm humbled by listening to these speakers because I'm just absolutely in awe and inspired of their own experiences. I did not come through the traditional STEM sort of background. In fact, that was really not my trajectory. I sort of found myself in this space. And so I think you really represent our best opportunity for learning. I've seen how women in geospatial sort of grew from this idea into this robust network just by leveraging the power of communication over social media platforms. And that is really transformational. So from my perspective, it's truly, it's probably a multi-pronged strategy that we need to implement. One is simply to create more of these opportunities at every one of our events. We will absolutely commit to having more young voices like yourselves to be part of the conversation. It's simply not a matter of should we, it's we must. And frankly, you are what makes our events exciting and energizing. So that's on one hand. It's really bringing more of you to the events so that your voices are heard, your inspirational stories are heard. Secondly, I do think, and I'm really so pleased we have on our amazing team, Nicoletta Panta, who is sitting there and all going goo goo gaga over this situation right here. And she's really thinking about how we create this powerful campaign to communicate what young people, young women can do to transform our experience of being sort of integrated with our environment, being part of the decision making. And we will be coming to you for ideas because we want to create strong, powerful messages that will be amplified through the various networks. So it's really looking to partners to amplify the communications and the messaging. And thirdly, I'm really looking forward to the joint session between the youth track and the industry track, because that is where we have sort of the right players in place. But I would encourage you to press on them, force them to give you concrete ideas and really kind of create a blueprint for what can we do over the next 12 months, 18 months concretely. Let's walk away from this event with a few, I'm not saying a lot, but 3-5 specific actions that we can really commit to and hold us accountable. I would be thrilled to be part of driving this, the expansion of the awareness and the recognition. And I bow to you, truly. You, I love this. You are the future. You're an inspiration for us.
Thank you, Ms. Yana. And I think that is really spot on. There are so many ways we can encourage young people to be in this field, but there are also quite a number of barriers, and I think we need to break these barriers. And Ayesha, you're still online, and I think this goes spot on to your side because you're very active in women, in geospatial. Myself coming from women in GIS Uganda, we have all these women, African women in GIS, we have women in GIS Kenya, all these professional networks, but we have also realized that participation of fellow women in these networks is still low. So we are interested to hear from you, Ayesha. What do you think really prevents fellow women to take even some of these opportunities to get involved, actively involved in these professional networks, such that we can break these barriers that hinder us in actively participating or taking on our careers in Earth observation and GIS. So over to you, Ayesha.
Thank you, Mary. I think one of the main things is women not knowing about the networks or not knowing how to join them. For example, for women in geospatial, when I first joined, there was about 1,000 members, and just a few years later, we have over 3,500 members and counting now. So I think really with social media and as more people get involved, they're finding out about these networks, you know, through LinkedIn or Twitter or websites, or just stumbling upon them in people's posts or events and talks like this. I think these are really good opportunities to spread the word about the networks. And I mean, I think a lot of women, especially young women, are really excited to be in the field and excited to be a part of these networks. But if they're just graduating, they might not know about these networks, and depending on where they live or where they study or which country they come from, they may or may not know about the network. So I think expanding and getting them out there is, you know, the first step to making them available. And then also I think it's really important for women to understand how they can leverage the networks. So it's more than just joining, it's also understanding what they can get out of professionally and personally from joining the network, not just being a member, but also being a part of a mentorship program, or you know, a different type of program where they can actually gain something like a capacity building event or a webinar or something. So I think fully showing the potential of these networks to young women, maybe that have just graduated, or you know, that are in university, it's I think a good opportunity to target.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Aisha, and I think you've really made a very interesting point that much as these networks are there, but we need to be intentional. We need to have a robust campaign of, you know, rolling them out such that children, the young people can get to know about these networks right from the beginning, when, you know, they are still in their early career stages. There is a hand up there. If you can help me move to the gentleman in the background. And yes, Angela, you let me know if there are any questions in the chat.
Thank you. I'm Sovio Ogutadio Amutaya from Nigeria. I'm a member of Nigerian Institution of Sovios, also a member of the Geoinformation Society of Nigeria. I would like to ask women in GIS what they are doing as regards publicity of geoinformatics to secondary school students, especially ladies. In Nigeria, if you meet 100 students, how will you find a lady that will tell you she wants to study GIS or geoinformatics? Most of them, they want to study nursing, they want to study medicine. But we don't have enough people to sensitize them about geoinformatics. So what are you doing as regards publicity? Are you taking publicity to secondary school?
Thank you very much for your question. I would like to share the experience from Uganda, what we are doing as women in GIS Uganda. We are sensitizing fellow women right from the graduates from university. We are encouraging them to take on these GIS as a career. We've seen GIS has a wide range of applications, and I think what we have also realized over time is that when people think about GIS, they are just thinking about going to the field, collect data, keep it somewhere under Excel. But we are saying no, as a woman, as someone who is in the GIS career, you can do a lot within this field of GIS and Earth observation. Lady on the front, you had your hand up. I think we've had so many questions from men, and it is just fair that a fellow woman can also ask a question. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tokomia. I'm also part of organizing the youth track here. And my question is to all the panelists, which is in terms of transformation and digital inclusion, and looking at how we can include more women in GIS and geospatial services. It's become, and it's always been very technical, We're talking about a very jargon-heavy industry, a very technical industry, and which is still not accessible to everyone, never mind to women and girls. Some strides have been made in terms of advancing women's participation in science, technology, engineering, and maths, and also women in industry doing a pivot into the technologies, into software, into research, academia, innovation, entrepreneurship, and most recently into GIS. I'm curious as to how can we not only create more open spaces, but to break down the barriers of access to be more inclusive of a greater representation of jobs. I think, in my experience, the greatest challenge can be the technical side of it, whereas geo represents a greater scale of opportunity for women of all different career paths to find their access point. And so how do we create that open in terms of creating access, opportunity, and a diversity of geo career paths for women of all industries to be in geo?
Thank you very much. And I think I would like Karen to take a first go at this question. How do we create more opportunities for women beyond, in terms of access, inclusion, at our places of work? I think, colleagues, you can agree with me. For the same job a man and a woman will do in this field, a woman is more likely to earn less than our male counterparts. I mean, it's I think, a fact. So how do we make this field a bit more inclusive, and how do we create more opportunities?
All right, thank you. I think it goes back to the employers, first of all, having the mentality that they have. The employers may not actually think that the women are as competent as the women are, so they won't give them the same chances that they would give other people. So of course that if the employer, for example, already has a bias. I've talked to some people who went to apply for jobs or volunteering, and the employers straight up told them no, because if you're going to the field, for example, I don't think you will be able to carry this surveying equipment as much as a gentleman would carry this one. So they would find that the men may be more physical. So going back to the mentality of the employers that we have, and also just giving someone an opportunity, because if you don't give someone an opportunity, you won't know how much they are actually capable of doing. So them just opening up their minds, and of course, if there is more position whereby you can at least open up just one male position and another female position, just to give them that chance and opportunity, because I mean, we shall surprise you how much we can do. So just them being unbiased and opening up their minds and changing their mentalities. And of course that goes back to other bigger organizations, also sensitizing them, because, or maybe from experience, that I also employed a female and they were able to do this and this. And also that gives us, us as women who are already working in these industries, that we should try to work hard so that then we don't sabotage for other female colleagues that may be interested in this. Because if I was employed and I wasn't good at what I was doing, then probably that would sabotage other opportunities that could be available for the women. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Liliana, do you have some perspectives on that? As Angela prepares, if there is any question online, yeah?
I think it's important to target girls from school because, when you start making them get familiar with Earth observation, and not only not only satellite imagery, but Earth observations, for instance, the project in which Monica is working with. So she's familiarizing kids at school, and I think it's important to target particularly girls. Why? Because it's more common that we talk about science to boys rather than girls. So we start making it common to talk to girls about science, about Earth observation, how you can use Earth observation to solve problems you have around you. Like, for instance, measuring rainfall, yeah? Why is it important? Because I need to know when do I need to apply water to my crop, for instance. And that starts from the school. So I think that developing projects that are focused on work with girls at school, it's important. And it's not only about coding or running software or something fancy. From my work with farmers, I realized that they have their own maps in their mind. They are very familiarized with the reason. It's just that we think in a different way than them. But by sitting with them and identifying how they think, we can find ways to work together and learn from each other.
Thank you very much, Liliana. Miss Yana, do you have any perspectives to her question?
I have ideas. I don't know. I still have to find a way to implement them really quickly, hopefully with all of your helps. But what resonated with me was Monica's insights from her experience about citizen science and how that really works. And I think to my younger self and probably everyone, we like to get hands-on activities, right? I mean, you go to the museums of natural history or science, and there is always a corner for little children to do something with their hands-on. And I do feel like if we can find, and we are thinking about sort of a global youth challenge around a particular sort of area of applying Earth observation to a common sort of issue that everyone can identify themselves within their local community, that will absolutely involve that hands-on activities to get the kids, as you said, get to them while they're in school and get them to test themselves out either in putting together little sensor technology with which then to collect the information. I loved your very simple sort of rain gauge, really. Even I could do that. Or for those who really are not into technology, get them to experiment with using art to communicate why a particular thing is important, and the two things really will work together. So we're really trying to shape something that will be an opportunity to roll out that kind of a global youth challenge. We'll have to get the right partners on board. We'll have to write the right interfaces and networks and connections to make sure it's actually doable. We're hearing a lot of positive feedback and energy. And I do think we'll come to you too, because we do want to know from your experience what will work, what will not work. And then create this around the world where these young school children, hopefully I'm thinking school children, can actually meet one another, whether online or in person, hopefully, share their experiences. And if we can sustain it into the future, truly one of my dreams. And I hope it's not something that is only going to be a dream. It has to be doable, right? Implementable. So I'm with you. I think hands-on citizen science across cultures, that's what we should aim for.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Yana. And maybe we turn to our participants online. Angela, there was a question. If not, Lillian, if you're online, you can also unmute yourself and give us some perspectives to the question asked. Yes, Angela?
Okay, we have a question from Mira. I hope I didn't. Okay, thank you. He said, this content is relevant for all the GEO community. Shouldn't it be addressed to a general audience and not targeted for and by women? Bias increases the gap. Real inclusion comes when marginalization is not needed. What are we missing to be real part of the GEO community without the For Women tag?
Thank you for that comment. And I think also, as Ms. Yana mentioned, this really leads us into the question of, as youth, as women, what do we want GEO to look like post-2025? And we have an online an online link. I think you can share it for people to be able to give us that one word they think geo would look like post 2025. But Monica, I would like to turn to you, and maybe I will also take one more question from the audience. It's quite interesting to see that you did your research in Ghana. You're from Spain. What really inspired you to come to do that research here? And where I'm coming from is that we've seen that so much of this technology is really developed in the European countries or in the developed countries. They are already far well advanced in the use of Earth observation, in the use of GIS in different sectors. But there is still that gap, yeah, between the north and the south. And for me, you coming all the way from Spain, coming to Ghana, there must be something behind that, yeah? What really motivated you? And yeah, we would like to hear from you.
Well, so I did a master's in South Africa, and then during my time in South Africa, I really started to love Africa, and I wanted to do my PhD in implementing Earth observation for some project here. It wasn't particularly Ghana, that was a project that my university already had. I mean, because they had a lot of connections. So that is why Ghana. But once in Ghana, as you are saying, in Europe we already have these things, but also I think, well, of course, this part of the world is suffering more than others the effects of climate change. And indeed, for me, I hadn't seen climate change so closely until I came to Ghana the first time, and I really saw the experiences that the farmers were having when, like, really they are losing every year or a lot of years, they are losing all their crops, money. One farmer that I met couldn't take his daughter to university, which was going to be the first generation going to university because he had to apply more fertilizer because that year there was a bad drought. So I think that as people working in Earth observation or GIS, if we are working in topics such as climate change, we have to come to these places to really understand the reality on the ground.
Okay, thank you very much. And maybe Liliana, over to you, because you're a researcher, you have a research background, and I'm also interested to learn from you. Where do you think is the missing link? Yeah, so much is happening in developed countries. There are so many tools. They have advanced in the use of Earth observation, in the use of GIS, but developing countries, we are still lagging. Of course, there are these common challenges which we all know, like access to data. I'm sure this week we'll also touch on a bit of some of these issues, but where do you think is the linking gap, and how best can we ensure that, what probably has worked well in the developed countries as far as the use of Earth observation is concerned can also be transferred to developing countries where we are coming from?
Well, I would say that, I wouldn't say transfer. I would say we can get some initiatives and work together on how to take advantage of them at some point. Because you see that there's lots of progress in Earth observation in northern countries, but despite sub-Saharan African countries and Latin American countries are the places that are supposed to provide most of the food for the world, there's not that much research, and that's because we have many challenges, let's say. And we haven't really made the time to focus on those challenges because it takes a while. So, and also because we haven't got the chance to get close to the people who's facing these challenges and the farmers who are in the field, so they don't know that there are chances, for instance, of using satellite imagery to monitor crops. They just are there. So I think it would be just talking to them, getting close to them, understand what they want, and work together, because they have very useful knowledge that it's important for us to learn how to produce food for the whole world in terms of agriculture. That's the topic I work with. So I would say first sitting with them, it would be like a global call, and I think that's an opportunity for GEO to work on, like being able to articulate different parties into understanding problems and finding solutions together for those problems with the help of young people. Yeah, so sitting together, everyone, with the people who's facing these problems, and maybe through internships, find a way to integrate different thoughts of giving solution to particular projects and make the most out of the technologies that have been developed so far. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Lian. There was a question over there. Yes,
hey, my name is Krista Straub. I'm from the United States. I work for the U.S. Geological Survey as a social scientist. Thanks for this panel. It's been amazing. I've been working with the Silva Carbon program. It's a capacity development program of GFOI, which is a flagship of GEO. And they noticed that there were very small number of women in the actual training that they do, and also as the trainers. So they asked us to do a qualitative study to interview these women, and we found many of the things that you all have mentioned. One of the things that they started doing is they now extend their training trips by 1 day and go into the schools and do an additional training day with young women, which was very exciting for the participants. One of the frustrations that we're finding from our participants is, those are kind of concrete actions they were able to take right off the bat, but they mentioned the frustration of policy and kind of the slowness of change. So I was wondering if you had any sort of inspiring comments for those women on perhaps slowness of change for these activities.
Yeah, thank you very much. And maybe on the point which you really raised, what we have also found is that offering trainings for women in GIS Earth observation is good, but I think we need to do a bit more beyond just offering them that training. And that's when also the idea of these professional networks come in, because we all recognize that this field is so dynamic. Quite a lot of things happen every other now and then, and just offering one training and you move away is not, it's good, but we need to do a bit more. We need to do these exchange visits. We need to learn from one another. We need to roll out these mentoring programs. We need to have these success stories. So yeah, thank you for that. And I think our panelists will give us some inspirations moving forward. And to our audience, we have the question, how would you like post-GEO 2025 to look like? One word to describe that. As I turn to our panelists, it's also one of the objectives of this session to get some insights from you, from your experience, wherever you're coming from. What is your wish list for post-GEO 2025? What would you like to see, in GEO post-2025? I know, Monica, you touched a bit on that for your presentation, but you can summarize, maybe up 3 things, about your post-GEO 2025.
Yeah, I think, as we have been saying, involvement of or targeting young women and girls, so from school to maybe a workshop, trainings, mentorship, things like this, these kind of opportunities. And also what Liliana was also saying of involving society from the beginning of a problem, from problem definition to solution provision. Because many times I think engineers and scientists work on a solution. I have seen that in my PhD, for example, in my university, people who are working in research topics in other countries, but they have never been there. They actually don't know what the situation is like. They don't really understand the problem. They see the data on the computer, and that's it. I think that it's important to like really tackle a problem and make sure that you are creating a solution that is compatible with a certain culture, for example, that can be integrated and sustainable. It's to really work with the people from the beginning.
Thank you very much. And Karen? Post-Geo 2025, what's your wish list as a drone pilot?
So previously I had a different wish list, but I feel now, okay, I'll just give them both anyway. Yeah, so basically involving the private sector, which I think it should be one of the biggest platform that employs most of the youth actually. So if there's a way that post-Geo 2025 can actually incorporate private sector to give them the various opportunities, that would be good. But of course, like everyone else is talking about involvement right from the ground, right from the start. Usually we are using like acronyms like GIS, EO, no one really knows these things. When you go to like secondary, primary school and you're starting to use GIS, RS, no one really understands. But if we can find a way of breaking down these things to something that is very simple to even a 5-year-old to understand, something like maybe map your school, for example. Someone was asking about the initiatives that they can start, but like map your school and, you know, try to navigate around where is the dormitory, where is the classroom, just something very basic that can be understood to even someone who may not be able to speak confidently. I think that's what I would like to say.
Thank you very much, Karen. And I think the point you make of the private sector is very important. And Ms. Yana, I think also, it's my wish. I take this opportunity to express my wish. I think involvement of the private sector, it's very important. Beyond already something is being done. We really appreciate what GEO has done in involving the private sector, but we realize that more has to be done, especially given the fact that it has the potential to engage with the youth. But also private sector has the resources, and they are also end users of Earth observation information as well. So I think a robust private sector strategy will be very critical for post-Geo 2025. Monica, sorry, Liliana, what's your wish list? And also we can see from the online participants what they are interested to see. You can see it from your screen here. You can see from your screen here.
Yes, it's because it's a bit dark and I cannot see well, sorry.
Okay.
Much better, yeah. My eyes are not good, but still. I think what we've seen written here, I think it's something we've talked about, and it's about having a GEO that it works as an articulated organization, as an organization that articulates projects around particular problems and brings together the industry, young people, sometimes, but also including funding. Because yeah, sometimes we as young people, we say, okay, it would be nice to do this, oh, let's go and get funding. You need to belong to a bigger organization. So being able to put together the industry, young people, stakeholders from a specific problem, not to work on a hackathon, but something on a longer term, like projects that integrate different people to reach a particular point. I think it would be an important role of GEO, and I think it includes most of the words that we see. Inclusiveness, it means it's not only a particular group of scientists that sit on their chair to make up a problem and a solution, but also to reach specific actions based on opportunities that are found in the industry, by the stakeholders, by the government, and I think GEO could gather all of these ideas to create projects that have a longer term.
Yeah. Thank you, Liliana. And from our online audience, we see opportunities quite being highlighted. And I think colleagues from GEO, this is also homework as we prepare the strategy. The youth, the young people are calling out for more opportunities. It doesn't mean that the current strategy doesn't provide opportunities for the young people, but we are calling for more opportunities in the different work programs of GEO, in the different programs or projects that GEO is implementing, and we've seen that these opportunities can be quite a lot. Mentorship opportunities, internship opportunities, fellowship opportunities. We've seen quite a number of international organizations rolling out graduate training opportunities, or even opportunities to offer different people from different parts of the world opportunities to have this exchange. And I think GEO, given its wide membership or diversity, I think it's really a good platform to really offer such opportunities, and also it's something that it can offer to its participating organizations. So yeah, specific actions, again, it comes out very prominent. Probably they are actions, but the youth are saying, or the young people are saying, we want specific actions, you know, that can create an impact. That doesn't mean that what the current activities are doing doesn't create impact, but I think more can be done. So any perspectives from our online audience? What would you like Post-GEO 2025 to look like? And I think we are coming to the end of the session. We have a small video to play for you. We put out a call for women across the world who are using GIS. So we have colleagues, maybe some are even joining online. So we'll have that video as our last video, as our last point here. But before we play maybe the video, I would like to hear from the audience if you have any wish lists or perspectives of how you would like Post-GEO 2025 to look like, especially in view of what we have been discussing here at this panel. Anyone from the audience? Yes, please.
Yeah, hello everyone, I'm Benedicta. Yeah, and I'm also a drone pilot. As Karen, I graduated from African Drone and Data Academy, so I'm happy to see her here. So for my perspective for how I would want to see GEO 2025 is I want to see more inclusiveness and more diversified. Yeah. So when I say diversified, what I'm trying to mean is, though yeah we encourage more women to partake, but I'd want it to be in a way that it is not like the women are being forced or I think this is lucrative, so let me venture. But it should be that they should get that kind of willingness. I want to do it because if they have that willingness, they have all this passion into it. But if they see it just as a lucrative venture and they go into it and there is one or two stamps, then they tend to draw back. So I think in as much as we are encouraging them to be part of it, let's also make sure that they really want to it, they are passionate about it, they want to be part of it. That's when they can have that zeal to push through the storms. And also there is this one thing I think it's a little bother though, because we are encouraging women to be part of this tech stuffs. But then once the woman is into it, the lady is into it, I think some men or some industries take advantage of the fact that you are a woman and you are in this Geo stuff. So if you want this and say it is a male dominated something and you are, let me say, the singled out woman in it, so they see you as someone very daring and who wants to do it. And if you really want the opportunity, since I'm actually not giving the opportunity to a man, you think you can do it and you want to challenge the status quo, okay. I'd want this before you can do that. And with that, I think it also draws or it draws the women, some of the women, their interest back from, because they'll be like, if, yes, I really want to do it, but then if these are some of the obstacles I would have to face and I'm not ready to face, then let me just sit back and just look at this other stuff I can really do, which will also fund me somewhere, because at the end, yeah, we all want to do this, we all want to see a better future, but then it's just because we want to take care of ourselves and get some income for our daily earnings. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that submission. And colleagues, unfortunately, we have to end this interesting session because we're already 15 minutes over time. But I would like to take this opportunity to thank our panelists and Ms. Yana. Thank you very much for also being part of this discussion. I think we've heard the voices from the young people who are here. You have one last thing to say? Yes.
I kind of do. Please excuse me for interrupting your flow, but yeah. I do want to say something, and it's to the men, because we've talked a lot about, the male dominance on the scene, and the men do get opportunities to be out in the front and speak. And I think we should really not downplay the role and the value that men can play in enabling this transition and change and transformation. How many of you men sitting in this room have yielded an invitation to speak on a panel for a female colleague? Yay, go James. We need more of that, honestly. I see you. Josh, I don't know, is that you? No? No, Matt, that's Matt, that's, yeah. James's brother from another mother. We need more of that. And I really, really appeal to men not to be shy and sometimes say no to an invitation and point to a female colleague who can fairly represent that topic, that expertise on the panel. You need to be part of the change. Yes, women will prop up women, but we do need men to prop up women. And you do have the floor, oftentimes you do have the mic, you are being heard. So please be part of the change.
Thank you very much, Ms. Yana. That was actually coming in my closing remarks, but it's very good that you mentioned it, that much as we are speaking of male-dominated, but I also wanted to acknowledge the great men here in this field who are supporting women. I know quite a number of men who are really supporting women in geospatial, and Steve is one of those men, and yeah, I take this opportunity to thank him. Steve Ramage, I think he didn't make it here. He's a very strong advocate of women in geospatial. He has done, I think, over 15 mentorship series for women in GIS Uganda in his free time. He's also the reason why we are here, actually. That's how we got to know about geo. We didn't know about geo anymore. So men, I agree with you, can be very strong advocates. And to you fellow women, don't shy away approaching these men who are in very strategic positions, who are already up there, because they have the power to support us. They have access to resources. And so we don't need to shy away from them, but we need to approach them. Also, don't sit in your comfort zone and think a male colleague will reach out to me, by chance. You need to approach them. We need to change our behavior. There are so many men in these strategic positions who are actually willing, but if you do not approach them, then there is no way these opportunities are going to reach to you. It's one thing to say you don't have access to opportunities, but it's also another for you to really actively reach out for these opportunities. But I think, Ms. Yana, your call to our male counterparts is very clear, and we would like to appreciate those already who are making their efforts to support women in this field. Thank you very much, everyone. And yeah, I also want to thank our online audience. Thank you for being part of us. We apologize for for the glitches that we've had along the session, but thank you very much. And also I would like to take this opportunity to thank women around the world who sent in their submissions. I invite you to take a look at the video, how women are using GIS Earth observation to solve local action on ground. It's a short video. Feel free to watch it. We will share it anyhow on the website. But yeah, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all again, and we shall have the proceedings, the summary of this session in the due course. So you can play the video, and yeah, this comes to the closure of the panel discussion. Thank you very much.
And please go take pictures at the GeoBus and put them on social media so more people know.
Sorry. Can you first pause? We had a GeoBus. Actually, I would like also to invite those of you who wish to come over here and we take a group photo, if you don't mind, Madam Yana. And colleagues, you can move over and we take a group photo. So you can play the video as people come to take the photo.
Everyone, my name is Ajum Charity. I'm from Uganda. The challenge in my country right now is that some parts of Uganda, such as Karamojo, is currently facing a problem with malnutrition. I'm using GIS to map all these areas for easy planning, accessibility, and distribution of food.
My name is Aziza Abdusalam, and I'm from Nigeria. One of the major challenges I face in my community is the issue of insecurity. Insecurity has been a major problem in Kaduna State, Nigeria, which has made traveling a disaster and turned the state into a war zone. But with the use of GIS, GIS has helped to combat the issue of insecurity with the use of GIS map, which helps to analyze and manage crime patterns and also locate hotspots, and also with the use of remote sensing imagery, which helps to find important criminal activities in my community. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Karen Nasaba. I am a geoscientist and a certified AUPSI top level 2 drone pilot. Currently, I am working with Toa Custodian Nigeria Limited, where I am using georeference drone data to make informed decisions in different industries. I am also a member of Women in GIS Uganda, where I work hand in hand with the GIS and Innovation Task Force. Thank you.
My name is Catherine Nabukulu. I'm Ugandan and currently a PhD candidate at ITC, University of Twente in the Netherlands. My research focuses on understanding the spatial-temporal patterns of the rainfall accompanying tropical cyclones, commonly known as hurricanes. And here we want to see if we can derive precipitation signals suitable for tropical cyclone-related flood hazard assessment. We know that these systems are very destructive both in their winds and rainfall. So if we are to prepare better, then we need to be best informed.
Everyone, I am Monica Francisca Binga from Tanzania. I am an urban planner and researcher. The challenge is inaccessible location of community secondary schools, which causes late going and coming from school, and also exposes a girl child to vulnerable environments, which causes some rape cases. Now, I use participatory geographical information system in selecting best sites for the construction of community secondary schools. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Majuma Mshana from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. An urban challenge that is likely to be solved by GIS, that is female genital mutilation, FGM, and that problem is solved by doing the remote sensing from GIS, mapping all the problem areas that are likely to be affected by FGM, then integrate them with the police stations using the barcode technique that will be helpful to the community to allocate or to indicate any area that is likely to be conducted. FGM has solved that problem completely. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nasugo Imelda from Kenya, and my colleague and I have been trying to analyze the impacts of artisanal gemstone mining on Tsavo National Park, which is a major park in Kenya. So we've realized that to some extent, gemstone mining is a threat to the national park due to increased settlements around the park where mining is being carried out, and therefore we're incorporating GIS-based decision systems so that we can get timely location-based intelligence to leverage sustainable mining.
name is Praise Atwine from Uganda. Over the years, Uganda has faced the challenge of land rush as seen here in Kampala, the capital city, and other areas. This has been because a large chunks of land under protected areas like wetlands and forests has been given out for factory and agriculture expansion. Using remote sensing and data processing in GIS, I'm able to identify hotspots